Welcome back to Florida Real Estate Profits, where we are doing our best to help you make money in Florida real estate. Joined by Guy Bouchard, Michael Bouchard, experts in Florida real estate. We are talking about investing in a short-term rental versus long-term rentals. What should you do? So, Guy, I'm going to kick to you first. When you hear this scenario, we deal with this all the time. Investors, they want to be a short-term rental investor, but depending on their goals, it may make more sense to do long-term. What considerations should you be thinking about?
Absolutely. Right now, we're mid 2023. So the timing is we're in a high interest rate environment. Prices in Florida, we thought were going to come down. Everybody told us prices were going to come down. They're not coming down. So we've had several good years of good appreciation. And I shouldn't say that. There are some distressed sales out there. We are seeing stuff age on. We're seeing price decreases in some areas, in some price categories. But overall, if you're talking about vacation homes, they're holding their values pretty good as of right now. We don't know what the next 6 months or year is going to bring. So that may be a very different environment. But right now in today's environment, if you're a pure investor, I strongly believe that people should be looking at long-term rentals. There are still great opportunities. Again, just to reiterate for those of you who haven't watched all our videos, I'm down in the Southwest Florida, Punta Gorda, between Fort Myers and Sarasota. And in Charlotte County, where I'm at, there are still duplexes that are in the 300, 400 range for 2 units, which you can get really good cash flow, make really good money. I don't want to poo-poo short-term rental. That's a huge part of our business, but people need to look at it with a much different attitude and goal. I mean, I think it's a buy and hold scenario. It's a use and enjoyment. I still think Florida has a lot of meat on the bone for appreciation. We're seeing the most growth we've ever seen as a state. I've been here for a long, long time, since late 80s or mid 80s, I should say. And we've added like 300,000 people a year, almost every year. So the population's gone from 10 to over 20 million. If anything, it's accelerating. So there's huge demand. The cost to build is more expensive than existing inventory. The rents are good. So long term, I believe, is a great option, but short term is a great option with the right set of goals. If, again, buying and hold, you got the appreciation, you get the tax write off, you get the use and enjoyment. Again, I would say, I'm going to speak for you guys too, is we're very bullish on the future of Florida. So that'll be my quick scenario on that.
Yeah. So, Michael, in terms of product type, what type of product are you seeing do well on the long-term side?
So I've always personally been a fan of either duplexes, triplexes, or single family homes. I typically try to tell investors to stay away from the condos and townhomes just to avoid the higher HOAs, sometimes the CDDs. So I've always been very bullish on single family homes, as little to none of an HOA as possible, just to help, your return on investment.
Right. I can totally resonate with that as an investor too. And I would say, obviously, we have a deep specialty in vacation homes and in vacation properties. And to your point, Guy, there's still like, we're not poo-pooing that right now. There's still a place and type of product that actually could make sense, but it really makes the most sense when there's a personal use and enjoyment factor, or where you're just like, you know what, I want to go ahead and put a stake here because maybe I'll get there at some point, and I want to ride the appreciation wave that we anticipate still happening, especially in the markets that we're in the most. But I want to share too, some of the best, like we over the last couple of years, it's been very hard to find good return investments for investors, right? Like as prices have gone up so much, rental rates have gone up, but not quite as much with those ratios. But we're seeing that finally over the last 6 months or so. We're seeing product come out, even new construction duplex builds, triplex builds that are in certain strategic markets that are kind of undervalued markets. They're not the hottest markets, but they're the up and coming markets, like around, for instance, the Ocala area. We're seeing a lot of great rental inventory there. So like there's finally now product that we can point investors to say, you know what, this actually can make a great return. And you can get a 3-bed, 2-bath duplex on each side with a garage for a price point that you'd be very surprised that actually makes sense when you look at the numbers and look at your returns, even in this interest rate environment. So that's an exciting thing. And so when we're dealing with people who are looking for that kind of return, they don't have the personal use and enjoyment factor. Typically, we're saying, hey, short-term rental seems sexy, sounds sexy, but what's more sexy if you're just looking on cash return is actually going to be this long-term rental option. Anything else to add before we close this one?
Yeah, you guys just made 2 great points that caught me. is one, Blake, what you said is, hey, if you want to get in the market, then, that's another great reason to buy. And that's what I'm seeing is I want people to understand, hey, we are a large property management company and we do manage both types of units. So we're experts in them. We're not just talking about we own them, we manage them. But the point that you made, Blake, that really stuck in my head is I've got a lot of people still buying vacation homes down here in Punta Gorda because there's only so much waterfront left. And we all know the values are going to go up. So if you want to get your place, a lot of people aren't ready to retire yet, but they want to get their stake in the ground before the prices get out of reach for them. So I have people buying vacation homes. And yeah, maybe it's a break-even cash flow, but for them, it's a win because now they can catch that rising tide of the values rising because they don't make any more waterfront. I'm a huge proponent. I could do a whole video on waterfront. I mean, when I started my career, I had a very old lady tell me that she always buys waterfront because it typically appreciates almost at double the pace of other stuff. And
Wow.
that is proven true over my life so far. And Florida is running out of saltwater access lots all along the west coast of Florida. I'm sure on the east coast as well. Haven't researched that, but I did research this side. And there's only one way that the waterfront stuff is going. It's going up. So that's another great real estate buy. If you know that's what you want, that's your dream, then the sooner you do it, the better you are. And especially if you can have that property generate enough income to sustain itself. And then you start talking, Michael, you mentioned you like stuff with low or no HOA. Well, Orlando is so master planned. I'm going to do a plug for Southwest Florida. There's a lot of old communities here that don't have any HOA. So that does make your cash flow stronger for short and long term. So those were a couple of things that popped up that as you guys were even discussing that jarred my memories.
Good ads. Good ads. And by the way, we do have a video about waterfront property. So go check that out in the channel. You can get more insights there too. So, hey, great discussion. Short-term, long-term. Bottom line is there's a spectrum. Guy always talks about that. And we can help you figure that out. If you're struggling with like, hey, I want to get in the short-term space, but I also want to make sure I'm making money, then we can kind of help you consider what makes the most sense for you. So with that, we will close out and see you guys in a future episode.
Thank you.
See you guys.